Welcome to Lesson 20 of Story-Based English. This is the final lesson of the B1 Plus transition phase, and what a journey it has been. In this lesson, we meet a retiring journalist who looks back on her career through the interviews that defined it. By the end of this lesson, you will know 10 new vocabulary words, and you will master reported questions, how to tell someone what another person asked. This completes the reported speech system we began in Lesson 10. Let's begin. Here is our first sentence. Listen carefully. Clara, a veteran correspondent, remembered the first exclusive interview of her career. The mayor had asked her if she was ready for the truth, and she had replied that she was born ready. Let me read that one more time. Clara, a veteran correspondent, remembered the first exclusive interview of her career. The mayor had asked her if she was ready for the truth, and she had replied that she was born ready. What an opening! First, the word correspondent. A correspondent is a journalist who reports from a particular area or on a particular subject. A war correspondent reports from conflict zones. A foreign correspondent reports from other countries. Correspondents are the voices and faces you see in the news reporting from the ground. Now, the word exclusive. Exclusive means available to only one person or group. An exclusive interview is one given to only one journalist or publication. An exclusive club is one that not everyone can join. In journalism, getting an exclusive is a major achievement. It means no other reporter has this story. Now, the grammar. This is our main topic, reported questions. Look at, the mayor had asked her if she was ready. The original direct question was, are you ready for the truth? To report this yes or no question, we use asked plus if or whether plus statement word order. Original, are you ready? Reported, asked if she was ready. 3 things change. First, we add if or whether. Second, we change the word order from question form to statement form. Not was she, but she was. Third, pronouns change. You become she. Is it raining becomes he asked if it was raining. Do you want coffee becomes she asked if I wanted coffee. Have they arrived becomes we asked whether they had arrived. The critical rule, no question mark in reported questions, and no question word order. Statement word order always. That was Clara's first interview. Let's see how her skills developed. Here is sentence 2. Listen. Years later, she learned to probe more deeply. In her most famous interview, she asked a powerful CEO what his real agenda was and why the company had hidden the environmental reports. One more time. Years later, she learned to probe more deeply. In her most famous interview, she asked a powerful CEO what his real agenda was and why the company had hidden the environmental reports. Now Clara is more experienced. First, the word probe. To probe means to investigate or examine something very closely and thoroughly. Journalists probe for the truth. Doctors probe a wound to understand its depth. Scientists probe outer space. In interviews, to probe means to ask deeper, more searching questions, going beyond surface answers. Now the word agenda. An agenda has 2 meanings. First, a list of items to be discussed at a meeting. Second, a hidden or personal plan, someone's underlying purpose or motivation. What is his real agenda means what does he really want? What is his true purpose behind his public actions? A hidden agenda is a secret plan behind someone's stated intentions. Now the grammar. This gives us reported WH questions. Look at, she asked what his real agenda was, and why the company had hidden the reports. The originals were, what is your real agenda? And why has the company hidden the reports? To report WH questions, we keep the question word. What, why, where, when, how, but we change to statement order word. What is your agenda becomes asked what his agenda was, not asked what was his agenda. The subject comes before the verb. Why has the company hidden becomes asked why the company had hidden, subject before verb. Pattern, asked plus question word plus subject plus verb, always statement order, no question mark. Where do you live becomes she asked where I lived. When did it happen becomes he asked when it had happened. How does it work becomes she asked how it worked. Clara asked the tough questions, but how did people respond? Here is sentence 3. Some interviewees were candid, answering every question openly. but others were evasive, and Clara always knew when someone was avoiding the truth. Let me read that again. Some interviewees were candid, answering every question openly, but others were evasive, and Clara always knew when someone was avoiding the truth. A perfect contrast. First, the word candid. Candid means honest and direct, expressing opinions openly without hiding anything. A candid conversation is one where people say what they really think. A candid photograph is natural and unposed. Being candid takes courage because you are not hiding behind polite filters. Now, the word evasive. Evasive means deliberately avoiding giving a direct answer or addressing an issue. Evasive responses dodge the question. An evasive person slips away from honesty like a fish slipping out of your hands. Evasive comes from evade, which means to escape or avoid. An evasive answer evades the truth. This sentence does not introduce a new grammar point, but perfectly illustrates why reported questions are important in journalism. When an interviewer asks, "Did you know about the fraud?" and the person gives an evasive non-answer, the journalist reports what was asked and contrasts it with what was and was not answered. Reported questions become a tool for showing what someone avoided. When asked whether he knew about the fraud, the CEO gave an evasive response. The reported question creates the framework for revealing avoidance. Quick recap. We have two reported question types. For yes-no questions, use asked if or asked whether plus statement word order. For WH questions, keep the question word but change to statement word order. Now let's look at how tense changes work in reported questions. Here is sentence 4. Clara recalled how a young activist had asked her whether journalism still mattered, and she told him that she believed it was the most important profession in the world, because without questions, there could be no integrity. One more time. Clara recalled how a young activist had asked her whether journalism still mattered, and she told him that she believed it was the most important profession in the world, because without questions, there could be no integrity. A deeply meaningful moment. First, the word integrity. Integrity means the quality of being honest and having strong moral principles. A person of integrity does the right thing even when no one is watching. Integrity also means wholeness or completeness. The structural integrity of a building means it is strong and complete. But in this context, integrity means moral honesty. Now let's look at tense backshift in reported questions carefully. The original question was, does journalism still matter? Present simple. Reported, asked whether journalism still mattered. Past simple. When the reporting verb is in the past tense, asked, wanted to know, wondered, the tenses inside the reported question shift back one step. Present simple becomes past simple. Do you like it becomes asked if I liked it. Present continuous becomes past continuous. Are you working becomes asked if I was working. Present perfect becomes past perfect. Have you finished becomes asked if I had finished. And can becomes could. Can you help becomes asked if I could help. This is the same tense backshift we used in Lesson 10 for reported statements. It applies in exactly the same way to reported questions. The system is consistent. Remember, if the reporting verb is present tense, she asks, no backshift is needed. She asks if you want coffee. Present stays present. Clara believes in the power of questions. Let's see what her legacy looks like. Here is sentence 5. Her colleagues asked her how she had stayed so credible for decades, and she answered simply, by holding everyone, including herself, accountable. Let me read that again. Her colleagues asked her how she had stayed so credible for decades, and she answered simply, by holding everyone, including herself, accountable. Two powerful words here. First, the word accountable. Accountable means responsible for your actions and required to explain them. If you are accountable, people can ask you why you did what you did, and you must answer honestly. Politicians should be held accountable. The manager was accountable for the team's performance. Accountability is the noun, the state of being responsible and answerable. Now, the word credible. Credible means believable and trustworthy. A credible source is one you can trust. A credible journalist is one whose reporting is reliable. A credible excuse is one that sounds believable. Credible comes from cred, meaning belief. Credible, credit, credibility all share this root. If you are credible, people believe you. Look at the reported question. Asked her how she had stayed so credible. Original, how have you stayed so credible? Present perfect. Reported, how she had stayed so credible. Past perfect. Backshift. The how question word stays. Word order changes to statement form, and the tense shifts back. The system is working perfectly. Notice how naturally reported questions flow in English once you understand the 3 rules. Keep the question word, use statement order, and apply backshift.
Clara's secret is accountability. Let's see how her career ends.
Here is our final sentence. Listen carefully. In her final broadcast, a viewer asked Clara what message she wanted to convey to the next generation of journalists, and Clara replied that she had only one. Never stop asking the questions that others are afraid to ask. One last time. In her final broadcast, a viewer asked Clara what message she wanted to convey to the next generation of journalists, and Clara replied that she had only one. Never stop asking the questions that others are afraid to ask.
What a perfect ending for Clara and for our B1 Plus journey. The word convey. To convey means to communicate, express, or make known a message, idea, or feeling. When you convey a message, you deliver it to someone. The painting conveys a sense of peace. She conveyed her gratitude in a heartfelt letter. How do I convey this idea in English? Convey can also mean to transport. A conveyor belt conveys objects, but in this context, it means to communicate. Now, the final grammar point. Let's see the full transformation in this sentence. The original question, what message do you want to convey to the next generation? The reported version asked Clara what message she wanted to convey. What changed? What message stays? Do you want becomes she wanted. Statement order plus backshift. You becomes she. To convey stays. And Clara's reply uses reported speech for statements. Replied that she had only one. So we see both systems working together, reported questions and reported statements in one natural English sentence. This is the complete toolkit. Let me give you the complete summary for converting any question to reported speech. Step 1. Choose asked if for yes/no, or keep the question word for WH questions. Step 2. Change to statement order, subject before verb. Step 3. Apply tense backshift if the reporting verb is past. Step 4. Change pronouns as needed. Step 5. Remove the question mark. 5 steps. Every reported question follows them.
All right, let's listen to the entire story one final time. Just listen and follow along. Clara, a veteran correspondent, remembered the first exclusive interview of her career. The mayor had asked her if she was ready for the truth, and she had replied that she was born ready. Years later, she learned to probe more deeply. In her most famous interview, she asked a powerful CEO what his real agenda was and why the company had hidden the environmental reports. Some interviewees were candid, answering every question openly, but others were evasive, and Clara always knew when someone was avoiding the truth. Clara recalled how a young activist had asked her whether journalism still mattered, and she told him that she believed it was the most important profession in the world, because without questions, there could be no integrity. Her colleagues asked her how she had stayed so credible for decades, and she answered simply, by holding everyone, including herself, accountable. In her final broadcast, a viewer asked Clara what message she wanted to convey to the next generation of journalists, and Clara replied that she had only one. Never stop asking the questions that others are afraid to ask. What an inspiring story of a career built on truth.
And that is a wrap. Not just on this lesson, but on the entire B1 Plus transition phase. Let's look at everything you learned. Vocabulary. You learned 10 words from the world of journalism and integrity. Correspondent, exclusive, probe, agenda, candid, evasive, integrity, accountable, credible, and convey.
Grammar, you mastered reported questions, the final piece of the reported speech puzzle. Yes-no questions with if and whether. WH questions with statement word order. Tense backshift for reported questions, and the complete 5-step conversion system. Combined with the reported statements from Lesson 10, you now have complete reported speech fluency. You have completed 20 lessons of story-based English, 200 vocabulary words, and over 60 grammar points. You are ready for the B2 advanced phase. Head to the quiz section to test yourself, and congratulations on reaching this milestone. See you in the next chapter of your English journey.